Throughout human history, there have been a number of pandemics that have put the humankind on the brink of annihilation. Though the humans have been successful in surviving through them all, but not without leaving a lot of their loved ones dead. A look back through history reveals outbreaks so expansive, so deadly, that they essentially changed the course of history. Here are top 5 of these epic pandemics. Before we move any further, there is a humble request to subscribe to my channel and like the video. Thanks for that, and now back to the video. Number 5. The Antonine Plague was named for Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius Antoninus, who ruled during the outbreak along with co-regent Lucius Verus. The outbreak began in 165 and lasted until 180. An estimated 5 million people died from what is now thought to have been smallpox. It's believed to have begun in the Mesopotamian city of Seleucia, in modern-day Iraq, and spread to Rome by soldiers returning from the city's siege. At one point during the extended pandemic, an estimated 2,000 Romans died each day. This isn't a plague that discriminated. Both emperors of the Roman Empire are believed to be among its victims. Number 4. The Plague of Justinian. Unflatteringly named after the Emperor Justinian, this disease arrived in Constantinople in the year 541. By its end, about 40% of the city's population was dead, so many and so quickly that bodies were left in piles. After decimating Constantinople, it spread like wildfire across Europe, Asia, Arabia and North Africa and killed 30 to 50 million people, which, at that time, was half the world population. Nobody really knows how it ended, but the best guess is that the majority of people who survived the pandemic developed immunity. Number 3. The HIV/AIDS pandemic is one we're still battling. And while medicine has made great strides, making HIV in many ways a chronic condition that can be managed in many countries, the end of the pandemic still seems to be a long way away. Originating in Cameroon and first recognized as a disease in 1981, the earliest documented case is believed to be in 1959 in the Congo. An estimated of 36 million people have died worldwide because of this deadly pandemic. There are still an estimated 70 million people living with this transmittable disease, with the vast majority of those in sub-Saharan Africa, where about 5% of the population is infected. Number 2. In 1918, the influenza pandemic, which affected our grandparents' era, was extremely deadly and the most severe in recent times. Dubbed as the Spanish flu, despite the fact that it didn't actually come from Spain, it started to appear in multiple countries around the world. The disease spread quickly, ushered along even faster due to the close living quarters of troops fighting in World War I. It burned out quickly and suddenly, by 1919, with the explanation still unknown today. But it left the global population decimated, with a mortality rate as high as 1 in 5 and an estimated 1/3 of the world population afflicted. As many as 50 million people are believed to have died. Approximately 25 million of those deaths came in the first 25 weeks of the outbreak. Number 1. The Black Death. A plague so devastating that simply saying, "the plague," will immediately pull it to the front of your mind. In the middle of the 14th century, from 1347 to 1351, the Black Death remade the landscape of Europe and the world. In a time when the global population was an estimated 450 million, at least 75 million are believed to have perished throughout this pandemic, with some estimates as high as 200 million. As much as half of Europe may have died in a span of only 4 years. The plague's name comes from the black skin spots on the sailors who traveled the Silk Road and docked in a Sicilian port, bringing with them from their Asian voyage the devastating disease, now known to be bubonic plague. The most popular theory of how the plague ended, is through the implementation of quarantines. The uninfected would typically remain in their homes and only leave when it was necessary, while those who could afford to do so would leave the more densely populated areas and live in greater isolation.